It begins with a tone. That shrill, warbling sound that hijacks the airwaves, overrides the radio, floods every screen. It burrows into my skull, high-pitched and wrong. For a moment, I think it's an Amber Alert, maybe a weather warning. Then I see the words. Emergency Alert System. This is not a test. Do not look at the second sun. I blink. Read it again. I check the time. 2:14 p.m. Sunlight slants through my curtains, pooling on the floor in neat rectangles. Outside, the city drones on as usual, distant horns, the murmur of conversations, life moving like it always does. The alert doesn't make sense. A second sun? My phone vibrates violently on the table, notifications flooding in. Texts. Group chats blowing up. People asking the same thing. What the hell is this? Is this a joke? Look outside. I hesitate. The thing is, I don't believe in mass hysteria, but I do believe in human stupidity. If the government is issuing a warning not to look at something, there's a reason. And yet, the urge is there. It's like being told not to think of an elephant. I grab my phone, hesitating at the window. A news anchor is speaking, but his voice is wrong, tight, controlled. He looks just off camera, expression stretched thin. A scrolling banner repeats the message. Do not look at the second sun. Stay indoors. Cover all windows. Do not attempt to travel. I finally pull the curtain back, just a sliver. The sky looks normal. Blue, cloudless. The city's skyline stretches in familiar shapes. Traffic flows. Pedestrians move along the sidewalks. Nothing seems wrong. But then I shift my gaze slightly left, and my stomach drops. There are two suns hanging side by side in the sky. Identical, perfect. One exactly where it should be, the other just there. Fixed. Unmoving. It looks wrong. Not unnatural, but incorrect, like a misprint in reality. It doesn't cast extra shadows. Doesn't radiate additional heat. It just exists. I stumble back from the window. My hands are shaking. My phone buzzes again, a call from Evan. I pick up. Dude, he breathes. Tell me you're seeing this. I saw it, I say. My voice comes out thin. It's real. A pause. A slow exhale. You didn't look for too long, right? I think about it. I was quick. A second, maybe two. Not long enough. I'm fine, I say. I didn't. A crash from outside. I jerk toward the window instinctively, then squeeze my eyes shut before I can make the mistake. The emergency broadcast plays again. Louder this time, voices overlapping. Evan swears on the other end. People are panicking. My neighbors are out on the street, pointing at it. Some guy was just standing there, staring. Wouldn't blink. My throat is dry. What do you mean, wouldn't blink? I mean, wouldn't blink. I yelled at him, but he just stood there. And then, Evan's voice falters. What? He smiled. A chill rolls down my spine. I move away from the window entirely, dragging the curtains shut. This is fake, I say, mostly to convince myself. A stunt. A social experiment. Or some kind of astronomical phenomenon. Maybe we. It's not fake, Evan says. Turn on the live streams. I do. Every major channel is covering it. Reporters with stiff faces, their gazes flicking to something off-screen. On social media, endless posts, blurry screenshots of the sky. Some claim it's the end of the world. Others think it's a projection, a government trick. But then there are the videos. A woman recording herself in a car, parked at a gas station. It's just sitting there. I swear to God, she trails off. Her expression changes. Eyes unfocused. Slowly, her phone lowers. She looks up, directly into the second sun. She doesn't look away. I scroll past, stomach twisting. Other videos show people on sidewalks, in parking lots, standing completely still. Their bodies motionless. Their heads tilted slightly upward. Some don't react even when shoved, even when screamed at. The emergency alert interrupts again. The same message, but this time, a new line at the bottom. Avoid those who have looked for too long. A new kind of fear roots in my chest. Evan, I say slowly, we need to stay inside. I know. His voice is tense. But what if it's not enough? Another call comes in. A number I don't recognize. I let it ring, but it calls again. And again. Finally, I answer. Static hums on the other end, followed by a voice, low, distorted. Have you seen it? My breath catches. Don't look again. Click. I stand there, the silence stretching long after the call ends. My reflection stares back at me from the black screen of my phone. A knock at my door makes me jump. I don't move. I don't answer. Another knock. Then a whisper. It's beautiful. My blood runs cold. The emergency alert plays again. Outside, the second sun does not set. The knock comes again. Soft. Deliberate. I hold my breath. The whisper seeps through the door, thin and distant, like wind through a crack in the wall. It's beautiful. A shiver crawls up my spine. I step back, moving as quietly as I can. My apartment is small, just a one-bedroom with a cramped kitchen and thin walls. The air feels heavier now, like the pressure has shifted. I reach for my phone. My fingers feel numb. I check the peephole. A man stands in the hallway. His posture is wrong, too still. His head is tilted slightly upward, eyes unfocused. His pupils are so dilated his irises look black. His lips barely move when he speaks, like the words are pushing out on their own. You should see it. I don't respond. My heartbeat is a thick, uneven drum in my chest. He's my neighbor. Apartment 402. I don't remember his name. Just a face I'd passed a dozen times in the hall, exchanged nods with at the mailboxes. Now he looks hollow, like something has scraped him out from the inside. His hand drifts toward the doorknob. I back away fast, locking it before he can try. The sound of metal clicking into place echoes in the silence. He doesn't move. I retreat further, gripping my phone, pulse hammering against my ribs. A text from Evan comes in. Evan, dude, answer me. Are you okay? I type fast. Me, someone's outside my door. I think he'll look too long. 3 dots appear. Then, Evan, lock everything. Close the windows. Don't talk to them. I hesitate, then type, what's happening? No response. Outside, the hallway is dead silent. No footsteps. No retreating sound. I check the peephole again. He's still there. Not moving. Just standing, breathing slow and deep, staring past the door like he's forgotten why he's here. Then, without warning, he turns. Walks down the hallway. Disappears around the corner. I exhale, knees weak. But the relief is temporary. My brain latches onto one terrible realization. He never blinked. I pull the curtains tighter, blocking out every sliver of light. The second sun doesn't seem to cast extra brightness, but I don't want to risk it. My apartment is a dim, suffocating box now. The only glow comes from my phone screen. News updates flood in. Breaking, nationwide emergency lockdowns in effect. Government officials urge the public to remain indoors. Military presence reported in major cities. Reports of unresponsive individuals continue to rise. A live video plays beneath it. Shaky, low quality. A man filming from his balcony, zooming in on the street below. People standing motionless on the sidewalks. Dozens of them. Their heads are tilted toward the second sun, lips parted. A few have started whispering, but their voices overlap, indecipherable. The cameraman mutters, "What the fuck?" just as one of them moves. A woman mid-30s in a sundress. She takes one slow, deliberate step forward, then another, and another. Then she stops. A second later, the man next to her steps forward, perfectly in sync. Then another, and another. One by one, they all begin walking in the same direction. Not random, not chaotic, a synchronized march. The camera shakes as the man filming curses and backs away from the railing. The video cuts off. A sharp sound snaps me back to reality. Something outside. A scraping noise just beyond my door. I freeze. The sound comes again, soft, deliberate, like fingernails against wood. Then a whisper. "Are you still in there?" I know that voice. I inch forward, pulse hammering. "Mrs. Campbell?" No response. I press my ear to the door. My elderly neighbor lives across from me. She was fine yesterday, smiling, watering the plants outside her door. But now her voice is thin, stretched. "It's okay," she says. "You can come out now." I grip the doorknob instinctively, then stop. Something about her tone is wrong. Off. The same hollow, weightless quality as the man before. Slowly, I check the peephole. Mrs. Campbell stands in front of her door. Barefoot. Nightgown slightly wrinkled. Her face is turned toward mine, but her eyes aren't looking at me. They're looking through me. Pupils wide. Mouth barely moving as she speaks. It's beautiful. I step back, ball rising in my throat. Then she moves. Not a normal movement. Her body turns first, stiff, mechanical. Then her head follows a second later, like it forgot to move with her. She walks away. My hands shake as I lock the deadbolt. I don't sleep that night. By morning, the world outside has changed. The power is out. No Wi-Fi. No TV. Just the emergency radio I keep in the kitchen. I twist the knob, and static hisses before a voice cuts through. Repeat, do not engage with affected individuals. Do not listen to them. Do not look at the second sun. Stay indoors. Await further instructions. The frequency crackles. Then another voice breaks through. A whisper. It's okay now. You can come outside. I slam the radio off. My heartbeat won't slow. I check my phone. The battery's dying. Still no response from Evan. I don't know what's worse, the silence or the whispers. I move to the window, heart pounding. I don't open the curtains, but I can hear them. Outside, footsteps moving in perfect unison. A slow, steady rhythm against the pavement. I press my ear against the door. The hallway is quiet. Then, a knock. My stomach twists. It's not frantic, not urgent. Just a single, deliberate tap. Then another, and a whisper. It's beautiful. The knock doesn't come again. I wait, breath shallow, ears straining for movement. Nothing. Just silence. A stillness so thick it feels alive, pressing against the door, the walls, my skin. I don't move for a long time. My legs ache from standing, but I don't dare shift, don't even reach for my phone to check the time. Minutes stretch thin, maybe hours. Then somewhere outside, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, moving in perfect rhythm. I inch toward the peephole, heart hammering. A group of them passes down the hallway. 5. No, 6. Neighbors. Strangers. All moving in unison, their heads tilted slightly upward, their faces empty. Not blank. Empty. Like something else is looking through them. I press myself against the door, barely breathing. The air feels wrong, thin, stretched, humming with a pressure I don't understand. My ears ring. They stop, right outside my door. One of them, a tall man in a business suit, tilts his head slightly as if listening. His pupils are huge, swallowing the color of his irises. He opens his mouth. Come outside. A whisper but layered. Like more than one voice is speaking through him. I squeeze my eyes shut. My hands clench into fists at my sides. I won't listen. I won't. After a long, breathless moment, the group moves on. Their footsteps fade. The air feels heavier, thick with something unseen. But they're gone. For now. When I finally move, my body protests. My muscles are stiff, my mouth dry. I reach for my phone with shaking hands. 4% battery. No service. A single unread message from Evan. Evan, I think they're going somewhere. They're all walking the same way. My fingers hover over the screen, but before I can reply, my phone dies. I stare at the blank screen, pulse thrumming. Evan's alive. He's still out there. But where? And where are they going? I force myself to eat a granola bar from the cabinet. Drink some water. My body feels weak, slow, like my limbs aren't fully connected. I don't know if it's fear or something else. The emergency radio crackles. I jump, nearly dropping the water bottle. Repeat, stay indoors. Avoid looking at the sky. Do not listen to the affected. Government personnel are working too. The signal cuts out. Static. Then something else. A sound I can't describe. Low, reverberating. Not a voice, not a language. A frequency that vibrates in my skull. My vision swims. My hands shake. I slap the radio off. The ringing lingers in my ears. I press my palms against my face, breathing slow, trying to push back the dizziness. The world outside is changing, and I think it's changing us too. I can't stay here. Food is running low. My phone is dead, and the silence is worse than anything else. I need to know if Evan's still okay. I need to know what's happening. I take slow, careful steps to the door, pressing my ear against it. Nothing. I unlock it, wincing at the sound of metal clicking. A deep breath. Then slowly, I turn the knob and open it a crack. The hallway is empty. A smell lingers in the air, faint, metallic, like burnt wires. Mrs. Campbell's door is open. Just slightly. A dark gap leading into her apartment. Her plants are shriveled, their leaves dry and curled. I step out, forcing myself to move. Every footstep feels too loud. At the end of the hall, the elevator doors hang open, frozen mid-floor. The power outage must have trapped it. I take the stairs instead, keeping my breathing shallow. The building is dead silent. No televisions. No murmurs behind closed doors. The lobby is worse. The glass front doors stand wide open. The street beyond is still. Abandoned cars, open doors, scattered belongings. But no people. Not at first. Then I see them. Further down the street, a slow-moving group. Maybe 10, maybe more. Their pace is measured. Unhurried. All of them facing the same direction. Heading somewhere. I press myself against the wall, stomach twisting. Evan was right. They're going somewhere. But where? I stay low, moving between parked cars, avoiding open spaces. The city is wrong. Traffic lights still flash uselessly. Storefronts stand open, goods abandoned. A bicycle lies on its side, its wheels still spinning. But the sound, or lack of it, no sirens, no voices, no wind, just the rhythmic steps of the changed ones in the distance. I duck into a gas station, moving between empty aisles. There's food here, water, batteries. I shove what I can into my backpack. A newspaper sits on the counter. The headline is yesterday's. Solar anomaly confirmed, NASA responds. I flip through it, hands shaking. There's a picture of the two suns. The article says it's an atmospheric phenomenon, a rare illusion. They didn't know. They had no idea. A noise from the back of the store makes me freeze. A soft, rhythmic sound. Breathing. I move slow, peering around the shelf. A man stands in the stockroom doorway. Still. Too still. His head is tilted up, his eyes locked onto the ceiling. His mouth moves, but no sound comes out. Then his lips form words. It's almost time. My breath catches. The air shifts. He knows I'm here. I turn and bolt. The street is worse now. More of them, moving together. A steady, silent exodus towards something unseen. I press against a building, trying to slow my breathing. Ahead, a military truck sits abandoned, its back doors hanging open. Bodies lie inside, not torn apart, not bleeding, just empty. Clothes still filled out, skin intact. But their faces are wrong. Their eyes are missing. Not gouged, not injured, just gone. Like something took them, cleanly, precisely. A radio crackles inside the truck. I move closer, stomach twisting. A voice, faint, weak. Outnumbered. Do not engage. If you see the threshold, do not. The signal dies. I stare at the radio. My own breath is too loud in the silence. Threshold. What does that mean? A shadow shifts nearby. I turn, heart slamming. A figure stands at the edge of the street. Not walking. Not speaking. Just standing. And looking. At me. I don't breathe. Its pupils are gone. Only white remains. A slow, thin smile spreads across its face. And it raises one hand, pointing at me. The others stop walking. Their heads turn, one by one, their faces stretching into something that isn't human. The silent streets aren't silent anymore. They are listening, and they have seen me. I run. Not a thought, not a decision, just instinct. My legs burn, my breath comes in sharp gasps, but I don't stop. My feet slap against pavement, dodging abandoned cars, scattered debris. Behind me, the sound of synchronized footsteps. They aren't running. They don't have to. They know I'll get tired. I cut into an alley, heart hammering. Trash bags, toppled dumpsters, a fire escape above. My eyes flick to it. Rusted. Unstable. No choice. I grab the ladder and haul myself up, metal groaning beneath my weight. The sound feels deafening in the stillness. I don't dare look down. Higher. Keep going. Keep climbing. The roof is close. Just a little more. My hand grips the ledge. I pull myself over, body trembling with exertion. The second I'm up, I roll away from the edge, flattening myself against the rooftop. I wait. Listen. Below, the footsteps stop. Silence. I inch forward, peering down. They're all standing at the mouth of the alley. A dozen of them. Still. Waiting. Their faces tilt up in unison. Eyes locked onto mine. My stomach twists. They don't speak. They don't move. Then as one, they smile. I crawl away from the ledge, trying to steady my breathing. My hands shake as I pull my phone from my pocket. Dead. No way to contact Evan. No way to call for help. I scan the rooftops. They stretch ahead like a path, uneven gaps between buildings. If I move carefully, I can keep going. Stay off the streets. Away from them. I force myself to stand. My legs are weak, lungs aching. But I can't stop. I jump to the next rooftop. Then the next. One at a time. Keep moving. Keep going. The city below is worse than before. More of them now. Hundreds. Moving in the same direction. A silent, endless march towards something I can't see. I don't know what's waiting for them. I don't want to find out. An hour passes. Maybe more. My body is slowing. Exhaustion creeps into my bones. I reach an old office building and pry open a rusted door. The stairwell is dark, stale air pressing in. I descend carefully, one step at a time. My ears strain for sound. Nothing. The building is empty. Or so I think. The lobby is dim, dust swirling in dead air. Cubicles sit abandoned, chairs pushed back like people left in a hurry. Papers litter the floor. I step over them, moving slow. A coffee mug sits on a desk, its contents dried into a black stain. A calendar on the wall. March 12th. Yesterday. I turn. A figure stands at the far end of the room. Still. Facing the wall. I freeze. My pulse pounds against my ribs. Their posture is stiff, arms limp at their sides. A man. Mid-40s. Dress shirt wrinkled. He doesn't move. Doesn't breathe. Then slowly, his head twitches. Not a normal movement. Like something inside him is testing the controls. My fingers tighten around a stapler from the desk. Useless. Stupid. But my hands need to hold something. The man shifts. His arms lift. Elbows bent at unnatural angles, fingers twitching. Then he turns. His eyes. Black voids, pupils stretched into endless pits. His mouth moves, but no words come out. Then, it's almost time. A whisper. From behind me. I whip around. Another one. Standing just a few feet away. A woman, her lips curled into something wrong. I stumble back. More movement. From the cubicles. From the hallway. From everywhere. Dozens of them. Coming to life all at once. Their heads jerk unnaturally, their bodies twitching as they turn toward me. A chorus of whispers, layered over each other. It's almost time. We are waiting. Come and see. I bolt. The stairwell. My feet barely hit the steps as I tear upward. I don't stop. Don't think. I slam through the rooftop door, gasping for air. No time to rest. I run. Rooftop to rooftop. The city stretches endlessly. The horizon glows with an eerie, silver light. The second sun is there, bigger now. Closer. I don't look at it, but I feel it. A pressure in my skull. A pulling sensation behind my eyes. I push forward. Then I see him. Evan. On the rooftop ahead. Slumped against an old air vent, head bowed. My chest tightens. I jump the gap between buildings, nearly falling as I land. My knees slam into concrete. Evan. My voice is hoarse, broken. He doesn't move. I scramble forward, shaking him. Hey, wake up! His head lolls to the side. His eyes, still normal. Relief floods me. He's okay. He hasn't changed. Yet. He stirs, mumbling something. His lips are dry, cracked. He blinks up at me. Dylan? Yeah, it's me. I pull a water bottle from my bag, pressing it into his hands. Drink. He does. Weakly. My throat tightens. He looks bad. Too pale. Too thin. Like he's been out here for days, not hours. I swallow hard. What happened? Evan shudders. I saw them. I followed them. His breath hitches. Dylan, they're going somewhere. All of them. I nod. I know. I've seen it. No, his fingers dig into my sleeve, his grip weak but desperate. His voice drops to a whisper. I saw where they're going. My stomach knots. A long pause. Then barely audible. There's something waiting for them. Silence stretches between us. The sky hums. The air vibrates with something unseen. I don't ask what he saw, because I already know the answer. We're running out of time, and whatever's waiting, it's not human. Evan's fingers are still clutched in my sleeve, but his grip is weak. His breathing shallow. He looks like he hasn't eaten in days. Evan. My voice is quiet, steady. What did you see? His eyes flick up to me unfocused. His lips part, but no sound comes out at first. Then, it's not a place, he murmurs. It's a door. A chill crawls up my spine. A door to what? He swallows hard, shakes his head. I don't know. I grip his shoulder. Where is it? Evan blinks, his expression distant, like he's seeing something just past me. South, he whispers. They're all going south. I exhale, forcing myself to think. The city's south end borders the river. Industrial lots. Shipping yards. Whatever's drawing them in, it's there. Evan's too weak to move right away. I give him another sip of water, tear open a protein bar, press it into his hands. He chews slowly, almost mechanically. We need to get out of the city, I say. Find shelter. Figure out what's happening. Evan stares at me. Then he shakes his head. No, his voice is hoarse, strained. It doesn't matter where we go. What are you talking about? They're not just in the city. He shifts slightly, wincing. I saw a broadcast. A government one. They said it's everywhere. Every city, every town, all over the world. I stare at him. My pulse pounds in my skull. This isn't just happening here, he continues. It's happening everywhere. I let out a slow breath. My hands clench into fists at my sides. There's nowhere to run. No way to escape. The whole world is falling into step, marching toward something waiting beyond the horizon. I help Evan to his feet. He sways slightly, but steadies himself. We need to move, I say. Sticking to the rooftops is safer. Evan nods. We start walking. The city stretches beneath us, silent and still except for them. Their numbers have grown. Hundreds now, maybe thousands. Their movements are steady, deliberate, all heading south. I keep my eyes low, focused on the rooftops ahead. Evan moves beside me, slow but steady. I don't ask him what he saw when he followed them. I don't want to know. Not yet. We move for hours. No food left. Barely any water. The second sun looms overhead, its silver light casting unnatural shadows. I don't look at it. I don't let my gaze drift anywhere near the sky. I know better. We reach the last rooftop before the city's south edge. The buildings here are lower, spaced out. Beyond them, the industrial district, warehouses, docks, and beyond that, the river. A thick mist clings to the water, swirling unnaturally. The air hums with something I can't hear, but feel. A pressure in my skull behind my eyes. Evan exhales slowly. They're almost there, he says. I don't respond. We climb down carefully, avoiding the open streets. The buildings here are mostly abandoned. Offices, factories, machines sit idle, untouched. The closer we get to the river, the stronger the air feels. Denser, heavier, like stepping into the deep end of a pool. Evan grips my arm suddenly. His fingers are ice cold. We shouldn't be here. I shake him off. We need to see. He swallows but doesn't argue. The last building before the docks is an old shipping warehouse. We slip inside through a rusted door. The interior is massive, endless rows of shipping containers stacked high. The air smells like rust, stagnant water, something else. Something wrong. We move carefully, weaving through the aisles. The sound of footsteps grows louder outside. They're close. A doorway ahead leads to an open loading dock. The river is just beyond. I motion for Evan to stay low. We creep forward, pressing ourselves against the steel wall. Then we see them. Thousands. Standing at the water's edge. Still. Waiting. A mass of unmoving bodies, stretching as far as I can see. Their heads tilted upward. Their hands limp at their sides. Their eyes are gone. Not hollow. Not gouged out. Just gone. Like they've been erased. And the river. The mist rising from it isn't natural. It moves with intention, curling through the crowd, wrapping around their bodies like it's touching them, tasting them. Something waits in the fog. Something unseen. A voice speaks. Not aloud. Not in sound. But inside my head. Inside all of us. The threshold is open. A ripple moves through the crowd. Then, one by one, they step forward. Into the water. Not sinking. Not drowning. Just vanishing. Consumed by the mist. The river does not reflect the sky. It does not reflect anything. It is black, deep, infinite, and it is hungry. The second sun pulses overhead. The pressure in my skull sharpens. Evan grips my arm, his breath shallow. His body is trembling. We need to go, he whispers. I don't move. I can't, because something in the mist is looking at me. I feel it, a presence, vast and formless. It has no eyes, but it sees. It knows. The crowd continues forward, one by one, stepping into the black water, disappearing without a ripple. No hesitation, no fear. They want this. And for a moment, I almost do too. A pull deep inside my chest. A voice whispering without sound. Come and see. I take a step forward. Evan yanks me back. Dylan. His voice is sharp, desperate. The pull weakens. The fog shifts. And the thing watching me loses interest. We stumble back, breath ragged. The crowd is still moving. Still entering the water, vanishing into whatever waits beyond. The mist thickens. The pressure in the air grows unbearable. Then, a sound. Not human. Not of this world. A deep, resonant chime. Not mechanical. Not natural. A frequency that vibrates in my bones, ripples through my blood. The second sun pulses. The sky darkens. And something moves in the river. Something big. Something that should not exist. The world shudders. And Evan grips my wrist, dragging me back into the warehouse. We don't look back. We run. Through the warehouse. Through the maze of rusted shipping containers and forgotten machinery. The chime still hums in my bones, rattling inside my skull. The second sun pulses overhead, casting everything in sharp, silver light. Evan is barely keeping up. His breath is ragged, his body weak, but he doesn't let go of my wrist. We burst through the back door into an alley, stagger to a stop. My lungs burn. The silence is worse than the noise. The city is empty, not abandoned. Empty. No cars, no distant sirens, no hum of electricity. Nothing. I press a hand against my chest, trying to steady my breathing. My heart is pounding too fast. I feel like I'm still moving, even though I've stopped. Like something is pulling at me, tugging me back toward the river. Evan sways beside me. He grips a wall for support. I turn to him. We need to. A voice cuts through the silence. Hello. A woman's voice. Small. Fragile. My stomach clenches. Evan and I lock eyes. Someone else is still here. We follow the sound. Carefully. Every step feels heavier than the last. The city doesn't feel real anymore. The streets stretch unnaturally long. The buildings loom higher than they should. The air is thick with something I can't name. We turn a corner, and we see her. A girl, maybe 17. Thin. Dirty. Clothes torn. She's standing in the middle of the street, looking around like she just woke up from a dream. Her eyes land on us. She flinches. I hold up my hands. It's okay. My voice comes out hoarse. We're not. They're all gone. Her voice shakes. Everyone. I swallow hard. Yeah. She takes a step toward us. Where did they go? I don't answer, because I don't know how to. Her name is Mira. She was hiding in a gas station when it happened, sheltered behind the counter, too scared to move. She doesn't remember how long she was there. Just that, at some point, the silence came, and when she stepped outside, everyone was gone. Evan listens, arms crossed, eyes distant. He hasn't spoken much since we left the river. Mira looks at me. What do we do now? I don't have an answer for that either. We keep moving. Through the city. Past empty cars, broken windows, belongings scattered like their owners just stepped away for a moment. But they're not coming back. We reach a convenience store. I force the door open, glass crunching under my boots. Empty shelves. Rotten fruit. Flies buzzing. Mira finds a few sealed energy bars. Some bottled water. We take what we can. Outside, the second sun watches. Its silver light shifts slightly, bending around us. I feel like we're being examined. Like something behind it is looking for something. For us. We take shelter in a small apartment above the store. Evan sits against the wall, silent. Mira paces, restless. I peek through the window. The sky looks wrong. The clouds don't move. The second sun doesn't set. Time feels stretched, unstable. I pull away from the window, exhaling slowly. Mira speaks, breaking the silence. I don't think we're supposed to be here. I turn to her. She's hugging her knees, staring at the floor. Evan glances up, but says nothing. Mira continues. They left. Her voice is quiet. All of them. But we didn't. Why? No one answers. Because we don't know. Night never comes. The second sun never moves. At some point, Mira sleeps. Curled up on the floor, breath slow and even. Evan stays awake. I sit beside him. After a long silence, he finally speaks. You felt it too, didn't you? I don't ask what he means. Because I already know. I nod. He rubs a hand down his face. His fingers tremble slightly. I don't think it's done yet. I swallow. Done with what? Evan looks at me. His expression hollow. With us. I wake up to static. A deep, crackling hum, vibrating through the walls. Through my teeth. I sit up fast. The room is the same. Mira still sleeping. Evan staring at the wall. But something is different. The air is heavier. The pressure behind my eyes is worse. And the static. It's coming from the radio on the counter. A small, ancient thing. Battery-powered. It wasn't on before. I rise slowly. Cross the room. The static shifts. Breaks apart. A voice emerges. Warbled. Distant. At first, I don't understand the words. Then, final transmission, all remaining survivors, do not approach the water. The voice is male. Strained. Containment failed. The threshold is open. My blood runs cold. Evan stands. Mira stirs, blinking awake. The voice continues. To those who remain, we're sorry. A long pause. Then, Goodbye. The static returns. I don't realize I'm shaking until Mira touches my arm. What did it say? She whispers. I swallow hard. They're not coming for us. Mira frowns. They can't come for us, Evan corrects. The meaning sinks in, and none of us say another word. The hours stretch. The second sun does not move. The silence grows heavier. The world holds its breath. And then, a sound. A deep, distant hum. Not from the radio. Not from the city. From below. The floor vibrates. The walls shudder. Evan grips the counter, face pale. Mira presses a hand to her chest, breath quickening. And me? I close my eyes. Because I already know. The ground is hollow. The world is thinning. And whatever is on the other side, it's getting closer. The floor vibrates beneath me. A slow, pulsing rhythm. Not an earthquake. Not the rumble of distant machinery. Something breathing. Mira grips my arm. Her fingers dig in, trembling. What is that? She whispers. I don't answer. Because I don't know how. The radio static crackles again, but it's different now. Deeper. Warped. Like something inside the transmission is alive. A voice emerges. Not the strained human voice from before. Something else. Something watching. We see you. Mira jerks back, her breath catching in her throat. Evan's fingers tighten around the edge of the counter, white-knuckled. The voice is layered. Slurred. Like multiple mouths speaking at once. Not yet, it says. A pause. But soon. Then the static cuts out. Dead silence. And the floor stops vibrating. None of us speak for a long time. I sit against the wall, head in my hands, trying to breathe. Mira is curled up, arms wrapped around her knees. Evan stares at the ceiling, hollow-eyed. The radio doesn't make another sound. The second sun still hasn't moved. I don't know how long it's been. Hours. Days. Time is wrong here. Mira breaks the silence. If it's not done with us, her voice is small. Then what is it waiting for? Evan exhales slowly. The others went willingly, he says. Walked into the water. Vanished. But we didn't. His fingers twitch slightly. We're outliers. The word makes my stomach twist. I think of the thousands who marched south. Their eyes erased. Their bodies dissolving into the river like they were never there. Something took them. And whatever it is, it doesn't understand why we're still here. I stand. My legs feel stiff, unsteady. We need to move. My voice is hoarse. We can't just sit here. Mira frowns. Move where? The city is empty. There's nothing left. Evan watches me carefully. He knows I don't have an answer. I rub a hand down my face. My skin is cold, but the air is warmer now. Thicker. Like the second sun is pressing down on us, closer than before. I glance at the window. The sky looks different. The clouds are lower. Not moving. Just hanging there. Like something underneath is pressing against them. Trying to break through. I swallow hard. We need to go, I say again. Before it does. The streets are still empty. No signs of life. No bodies. Nothing. Just a city frozen in time. The deeper we move into the city, the worse the air feels. My chest tightens. A dull pressure builds behind my eyes. Like something watching. Waiting. Evan stops suddenly. Mira. His voice is sharp. Don't look. She freezes. I follow his gaze. A storefront window. The glass is warped, rippling like liquid. But it's reflecting something. Something not here. I can't make sense of the image. The angles are wrong. The colors move. A distorted landscape that doesn't belong in this world. Not a reflection. A glimpse of somewhere else. Myra's breath quickens. What is that? Evan grabs her wrist, pulling her back. Don't look. I force myself to step away from the window. I don't know how long I was staring. The second sun pulses overhead. The reflection shifts, and the glass shatters. We run. Not because anything is chasing us, but because something wants us to stay. I can feel it. A weight pulling at my limbs, slowing my movements, urging me to stop. To listen. To see. We push forward, block after block, until we reach the city limits. And stop. Because ahead of us, there is nothing. The road ends. Not in a natural way. Not in a curve or a dead end or a stretch of highway leading to the next town. It just stops. And beyond it, a void. Not black. Not empty. But something worse. A shifting, formless mass stretching across the horizon. A depth I can't comprehend. Like the world itself has been peeled away. Mira grips my sleeve. Evan exhales sharply. No wind. No sound. Just the endless, pulsing mass waiting beyond the edge of the world. And then in the distance, a shape moves, something massive, not walking, not crawling, just shifting, like it's been there the whole time, like it's waking up. I step back, the world tilts around me. Evan grips my shoulder. Dylan. I blink. The void is closer, moving without moving, a hunger pressing against the fabric of reality, stretching it thin. Mira shudders. This isn't real, she whispers, but we all know it is. And then, the second sun pulses. Once, and the world splits. Not a sound, not a quake, just an absence. The buildings behind us flicker. The road beneath us warps. Evan stumbles back. Mira presses her hands over her ears, eyes squeezed shut. Something in the air is changing. The hum grows deeper. And above us, the second sun is getting bigger. No longer hanging in the sky, but pressing down, coming closer, like it's falling, or like it was never a sun at all. A new voice cuts through the silence. Not from the radio, not from the sky, from everywhere. Almost time. The ground shifts beneath my feet, not breaking, but peeling, like a thin layer of paper lifting from a surface. And beneath it, darkness, not empty, moving, alive. I reach for Mira, for Evan, but they're already sinking, not into the ground, but through it, like they were never supposed to be here at all. And I finally understand. The others didn't vanish. They weren't taken. They simply went first. And now, it's our turn. I reach for Mira. My fingers barely brush hers before she's gone, swallowed by the shifting ground. No sound, no struggle, just gone. Evan is next. His eyes widen, but he doesn't scream, just exhales slow and steady. And then he fades, not pulled under, not consumed, just erased, like he was never here, like none of us were. I'm alone. The city behind me flickers. The void ahead pulses. And the second sun. It's closer. The hum is in my bones now, vibrating through every cell. I press my hands to my head, squeeze my eyes shut. But it doesn't stop. It doesn't let me go. I stagger back, breath hitching. The ground under my feet is still solid. For now. But I can feel it thinning. The space between here and there. And whatever is on the other side. It's waiting. A whisper breaks through the hum, right against my ear. You're still holding on. I freeze. It's not Evan. Not Mira. Not the voice from the radio. This one is different. Familiar. But wrong. I turn. There's no one there. Just the city, flickering in and out of existence. Why? I don't answer. Because I don't know. Because maybe I shouldn't be. The second sun pulses. The buildings buckle. The road peels. I stagger forward. The hum grows louder, pressing against my skull, my ribs, my lungs. My will. I know what it wants. I know what it's telling me to do. It would be so easy. To just let go. To step forward. To join the others. I squeeze my eyes shut. I don't move. I don't breathe. I fight it. And the whisper. It laughs. A low, hollow sound. You think you're different. I clench my jaw. It circles me. A voice without a body. A presence without a face. You saw what they did. I don't respond. But I remember. The people walking into the river. Silent. Willing. Ready. I remember how I almost followed. How part of me wanted to. It wasn't a choice. The whisper presses closer. It was a return. My stomach turns. And you? You're delaying the inevitable. I swallow. Shake my head. It isn't inevitable. It can't be. The second sun descends. The sky warps around it, bending and twisting. Like the world itself is straining to contain something that doesn't belong. A pressure builds in my skull. A pull in my bones. The hum turns into something worse. A tone that isn't sound. Not something heard. Something felt. It burrows inside me. Gripping. Twisting. Unraveling. My vision blurs. The street beneath me warps. I'm sinking. I try to move. To fight. But my body isn't mine anymore. The air ripples. Shapes move in the distance. Not people. Not things. Just presence. Waiting. Watching. I feel my fingers twitch. Like someone else is testing them. Like I am no longer alone in my own body. I choke back a breath. Something shifts. I see it. Not with my eyes. But with something deeper. A shape, massive and impossible. Behind the veil of this world. It has been here the whole time. It's waking up. The whisper is at my back. Close. Cold. You should be grateful. My body shakes. Not from fear, from recognition. Because somewhere, deep inside, I understand. I understand what the second sun really is. What the river was. What happened to the others. They didn't die. They didn't disappear. They became part of it. Something bigger. Something beyond. And now, it wants the rest of us. A new sound. A distant warping howl. Not from the sky. Not from the ground. From underneath. The second sun flares. The whisper sighs. It's time. I feel it in my chest. A pull. A shift. A final undoing. I look at my hands. They flicker, phasing between here and there. I close my eyes. The hum rises. The world shatters. And I let go. I fall. But there is no impact. No sense of direction. No up. No down. Only the hum, stretching across the void, wrapping around me like a second skin. I open my eyes. There is no world. Not anymore. Only light. Not the kind that illuminates. Not something warm. This light is hungry. It strips away thought, memory, self. I feel it pressing into me, sifting through what I am, breaking me into pieces that no longer belong to me. I don't move. I can't. A voice ripples through the light. The same whisper from before. Do you understand now? I try to speak. Nothing comes out. I have no mouth. No breath. Just a hollow awareness floating in the brightness. You were never separate, it says. The light pulses. Shapes shift in the distance. I recognize them, not by their forms, but by their absence. Mira, Evan, the others. They drift in the distance, dissolving, reforming, pieces of something bigger. Not gone, not lost, changed. A part of me knows I should feel something. Fear, grief, resistance. But the light is swallowing that too. It is filling the gaps, replacing what I was with something else. I drift toward the others. The light moves with me, around me, inside me. Every moment, I become less Dylan, less human. The whisper hums in approval. You fought so hard, it murmurs. But there was never another path. I try to deny it, but the thought unravels before it forms. Because I already know it's true. I've seen it. I've felt it. The moment the second sun appeared. The moment its light touched this world. It was over. A pulse. A shift. The hum deepens. Something is coming. Not new. Not alien. Something that was always here. Something that has been waiting. The shapes around me begin to align, moving in silent agreement. A rhythm. A structure. Not people anymore. Not souls. Just pieces. Fitting together into something vast. Something whole. I feel the last pieces of myself breaking away. The weight of identity, of memory dissolving. What I was no longer matters. What I am becoming stretches beyond it. And the whisper. It is no longer separate. It is inside me, speaking with my own thoughts. Step forward. I do. And the light accepts me. Something shifts. A great, slow turning. The structure forming from the broken pieces of us is almost complete. The hum grows deeper, stretching into something vast. A presence. A will. Something old and endless. I feel it pressing against the thin edges of reality, preparing to break through. It isn't coming from above. Not from the second sun. Not from the sky. It's beneath. It has always been beneath. And the second sun. It was never a sun at all. Just a warning. A sign of what was waking up. A sign that the thin barrier between here and there was failing. And now, it's almost gone. I see the last remnants of the old world. The city distant and fragile. Not destroyed, but dissolving. Like it was never meant to be. Like it was only ever temporary. A structure built on borrowed time. And that time has run out. The hum becomes a roar. The second sun expands, its light reaching the edges of existence, consuming everything. And then, a final pulse. A deep, shuddering breath. Something wakes up, and the last of the world falls away. There is no more world. No more sky, no more ground. Just the hum. It is not sound anymore. It is everything. A vibration that exists in the bones of reality, pressing into what remains of me, stripping away the last traces of human thought. I do not resist. I can't. There is nothing left to hold on to. The city, the people, the river, the world, all of it has unraveled. Not destroyed, just gone. And I am drifting in what remains. A space beyond existence. Or maybe beneath it. I can't tell anymore. I don't know if it matters. Because something else is here. And it is watching. I try to form a thought. It flickers, fragile and weak, dissolving before it finishes. There is no need for questions here. No space for doubt. Only acceptance. The others have already accepted it. I see them, not as people anymore, but as shapes, pieces of something bigger, a structure built from what we used to be. I recognize their forms in the shifting light. Mira, Evan, countless others, all of them woven together. A great and endless pattern, a network of mind, memory, existence. And I am the last, the final thread, the last human thought, floating in a place where humans were never meant to be. And the thing beyond the veil, the thing that has been waiting, it is ready. I feel it moving, not toward me, but through me. It is not a being, not a creature, not something with form or limit. It is the gap itself, the empty space between what was and what comes next. The boundary, the threshold. And now, that threshold is breaking. A final pulse, deep and slow, stretching across the fabric of everything. A single massive breath. And I understand. This was always going to happen. It has happened before. Countless times. Worlds rise, burn, collapse. People live, die, disappear. Everything fades, sooner or later. And what waits beyond the threshold? It is always hungry. It is always watching, waiting for the right moment to press against the thinning walls of reality and pull. And I am the last thread in that wall, the last flicker of resistance, the last question lingering in a place where questions no longer belong. And the whisper, the voice that has followed me here, it is patient. You already know what to do. I do. I have known for a long time. But now there is no more time, no more waiting, no more struggle, only one final step. I let go, and the threshold opens. I do not fall. I do not fade. I simply become. The hum is no longer outside me. It is inside. I feel myself stretching outward, dissolving into something vast and endless. Not a mind, not a self, just part of it. The great turning wheel, the breath between realities, the hunger at the edges of existence, and the second sun, the thing that was never a sun at all. It pulses one last time, a final light, and then the world is gone, not destroyed, not ruined, just replaced. Something new, something waiting, and beyond it, the presence that watches, that waits, that knows. It is satisfied, for now, until the next world rises, until the next sun appears, until the cycle begins again. And this time, there will be no warning,